All right, everybody, how we doing? How we doing? How are we doing today? We do have a different camera that we're testing out. I've always had this camera. It's just honest to God reason for not setting it up. Um, it's just more of a pain than the web camera, but it obviously looks a lot nicer. Um, let's see. Okay, we're not late. We're on time. We're actually super early. Yeah, a whole minute early. Yeah, pretty early. Really, really early. Let's get the stream likes up to 50 real quick. Let's get the stream likes up to 50. Are you in a void? The background will be redecorated soon. Background will be redecorated with posters and such. I want things in the background. This background is boring. Don't worry, there will be stuff in the background, and you can get yourself some things in the background if you so chose. Where's our shit? Maybe you can still get these. Can we still get these? I don't know if I can. I don't know if you can still get these. Uh, you might have missed your chance to buy the Emu and Nidhogg posters. I think those might. You can check, but they're still up on the site. I don't know if you can still purchase them because we're about to roll out. Never mind. Can't say anything. They should be down probably today. So if you want to try and get them, you can still try. I'm not going to post the link. I'm not even going to post the link. If you want to try and get your Emu, Nidhogg, Nika stuff because you forgot, go ahead and get them. But on One Dream Studio. But I cannot I don't know. I'm not even going to post the link. I don't know if you can get this. All right. When does the chapter come out? Next Friday, presumably next Friday. HD Cam Y. This will probably be the norm going forward. A very uncanny atmosphere you created, Mr. Morge. It's there'll be posters. There'll be posters to liven things up later. There'll be stuff. Why does the stream look high quality? Because it always is high quality. Just kidding. It's because the camera is swapped. Swapped to a better camera. This is like an actual Sony ZV-1. So it's an actual 4K camera and everything like that. Before we were using a 4K web camera, which is technically 4K. Or technically that, yeah, but it's not the same. I don't like using this one because it's, what do you call? I don't like using this one because it's just more of a pain in the ass, but it is obviously better quality. So it'll probably be this going forward. What about the shelf? The shelf is actually still here. The shelf is actually off to the side. We'll bring things back. We'll bring some things back. Audio is ahead of the video. No, it should not be ahead of the video. Why would audio be ahead of the video? I don't have an explanation for that. Look like you're back in your 2021 era. Is that when I had the dark background? I forget. Kagurubachi's so good, I just caught up to date. Then you are slightly ahead of me because I'm not quite caught up. I stopped. There's a major flashback that begins. I read like one chapter of the flashback and then I'm gonna let it pile up. Yeah, I'm not late. We can put that debate there's no debate. That's been put to rest. I'm not late. I'm on time. Let's get stream likes up to 50 real quick. Let's get stream likes up to 50. Audio's with the video for me, but I also always have delay. So for you, it actually just syncs up. That's funny. All right, let me pull up Whimsical. Let's get this show on the road. All right. Yeah. Wait, we're predicting chapter 11, 8-2. Yeah, 8-2. Okay. All right, all right. So Oda did 2 chapters and then a break here, huh? 2 chapters and then a break. If Morge is late, does that mean he's pregnant? That's funny. Where's the chapter? There is no chapter. That's why we're doing. That's why we're doing predictions. What? That's the whole stream would be um irrelevant and obsolete if we actually had chapter 1182 out. You know. That's why. That's the purpose of us doing this. Fatingo, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 35 months, man. What is an interest, hobby, or form of entertainment you enjoy that people would not expect for you to outright like at first? Obviously not anime. I mean, it depends on what you mean as, like, people would expect you to not right? Outright like, right? Let me think. Interest, hobby, or form of entertainment. I was that would go against type for me, right? I tend to talk about my interests pretty freely, so like it's tricky because you guys probably like just over the course of streams at this point you've heard lots of the things that that I like in my spare time. Shows I like watching NBA. Not these days, but in general I did. Uh, like Melee, Smash Melee is my favorite multiplayer game. Souls games is my favorite single player games. Right, so you guys know a lot of general interests that I have. If you're saying like in general, like what's some that I haven't shared as much? Probably Yu-Gi-Oh! I used to be big into Yu-Gi-Oh, Hearthstone. What else do you guys not know? Oh, board games. There was a little window where I was big into no, how do I explain? I wasn't huge into board games myself, but my friend group became big into board games. This was golf. I need to get back into boxing. I took a long break since I've been too on and off. I think I've not. Things have been way too busy work wise for me. So like in the last 5 months, I've gone. I went in January a couple times, and I think that's it. So no, yeah, January a couple times. I think like a couple times in December. So I really fell off there. I want to pick that back up. What's happened is so work got really busy, and then when work gets busy, me going to the gym goes down. I don't go to the gym even that much. It was just like just to maintain or whatever. But going to the gym went down quite a bit, and so then I'm currently much weaker than I normally am. And my logic is I don't want to go back to boxing until I can hit some of the similar reps that I can normally hit at the gym. Just because my logic is like boxing will make it harder for me to be at a caloric surplus. You need to be at a caloric surplus to build back muscle mass, stuff like that. So it kind of snowballed because got very busy work-wise. That subsequently leads me to go to the gym less. If I go to the gym less, I start losing, just strength in general. That makes me feel like, I shouldn't go boxing until I get back in the gym. Yeah, I don't know. All that. JR says, we don't know your day job. I don't have a day job. I'm a full-time YouTube. I've been full-time YouTube for literally since 2020. Let me think. Late 2020. I shifted off full-time YouTube, but at the same time, you guys probably know this. I've been on-off working on marketing agency for literally since before YouTube, right? That was my day job before YouTube. Then after COVID, I had to switch to YouTube mainly, right? And but now, I'd say in the last few months, I've I'm basically I've joined in with a couple partners who already have something going, and the that has been like a huge time sink for me. So I feel like I got two two jobs basically at the same time right now. So marketing agency and YouTube at the moment. No, show the gains more. No, it's the opposite. It's the opposite in that right now I'm probably the weakest I've been in like 2, 3 years. Probably like 3 years. Probably 2, 3 years. Um, Work has been crazy, so I haven't been to the gym for like a month. I used to go every day. Yeah, the other big thing for me now is that now we're in a house. So before we were in an apartment. The apartment had a gym. So it made it easier to just go down there. So two things happened, which is one, already so busy that like many days I would just, or many weeks, let's say straight up weeks, back when I lived in the apartment, I wouldn't go to the gym. There'd be like full on 1, 2 week stretches without anything. And you lose muscle, you lose strength pretty quickly if you're doing that, right? And then that compounded once we moved to the house, because now it's even further. Like before, it was just going downstairs, you know? Morge loves polo or golf. That would be a surprise. No, those sports seem boring to me. Um, Golf seems like a waste of time to me, personally. Golf seems like a waste of time. Um, I was into tennis in high school, and I still follow the sport to some degree. Usually I'm interested in like one thing at a time, right? So tennis, Yu-Gi-Oh, Hearthstone, NBA, Smash Melee, like it's phases, you know. But I think you guys kind of know a lot, as is. Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm talking about the trading card game itself. I don't know the anime. I know the original anime pretty well. Everything after that, I'm a bit more vague on. Let's get the stream likes up to 50 real quick. Mihawk the Goat, thanks to 2. Who's number 2 under Emu and why is it Mihawk? Oh shoot, I also missed a message from TomTom. TomTom, I'll get you in a second. Number 2 under Emu, I think it's one of Dragon, Shanks, or Mihawk. I think it's one of them. TomTom3070, what's up, man? Thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 43 months. I'm not spoiling anyone, but Hakuri's flashback with the Ice Girl is amazing. His paneling and art is also god tier. Biggest upset in manga history, LMAO. Do I know names well? Let's see, Hakuri. Oh, fucking, that's Hakuri. Okay, I forgot the name. Yeah, Hakuri's a good character. Hakuri's a good character. Biggest upset in manga history, LMAO. I don't fully remember how that. To be honest, I like the character fine. I like him. I like the character fine. But I remember from that arc, I more so remember the dad a lot and a lot of the shit that happened with the dad. Some of the cool shit that happened there. Continuing on, JR182 thanks to 2. Why does Kaiba get obelisk? Is it an allegory for him? I don't I don't think so. Because I think it was just cool. I think it was just cool. You know, because like I don't think Slifer, from what I can tell, Slifer's not an allegory for Yugi in any way. I think they just wanted to give Kaiba a cool new card and Yugi a cool new card. And you know what? Actually, no, it makes sense. I just thought about it. Because it makes sense because Kaiba already has dragons, right? Like Blue Eyes White Dragon, that's already kind of his thing. So, you know, you got 3 Egyptian god cards, 2 of them are dragons. Giving Kaiba one of the dragons is already kind of like, you know, he's got so many dragons, and then you give him Slifer also. It's like, okay, that's just more more dragon shit. And I think keeping the Blue Eyes White Dragon unique for him, I think, was important. So, and then flip side for Yugi, he doesn't have dragons in his deck. His whole thing is like magician, fiends, ritual, whatever, yada yada. So giving him Slifer as a dragon was like a mix. I think it was a way to mix up their arsenals, just thematically. So Kaiba's got, like, if you have Slifer and you add that to Kaiba's deck, then that becomes his like signature dragon over the Blue Eyes, and I think they didn't want to do that. Stormy says only in the way every sport is a waste of time. I guess that's a very, very good point. That's a very good point. But I view golfing as like legitimately designed to waste time, So I view it as a little bit different. From my perspective with golfing, it's like, it's how long does a round of 18 holes of golf take, especially with friends? How long does 18 holes of golf take? Yeah, 3.5 to 5 hours for 4 players, right? That's kind of crazy. I'd say most normal sports that are not golf, from my perspective, right? Like, you're realistically going out for maybe, like, I mean, depending on your energy on the day, probably like a solid hour of like more high octane physical activity. You feel good. You got that out of the way for the day. Now you move on with your day, That's my perspective, right? To me, golf seems like it's for a more brief sort of like window of adrenaline rush, of getting your body moving, all of that, right? Golfing seems like a sport where, like, if you're going out to golf, it's like, well, I'm just going out to throw the day away in golf, right? I understand it's a lot of fun. My friends back in Maryland have gotten big into golf, so they've been telling me it's really good. But I also just can't imagine, for me, I can't imagine dedicating like half a day to golf. I just can't imagine that, because I'd rather be indoors after a certain point. But that might just be me. Like, I'm good being outside for like a couple hours, unless we're like doing like something like, the beach or hiking or something like that. Then generally I'm like, I kind of want to be indoors most of the day. King6681, thanks for the 2. Emo reveals Nidhogg was his pet dragon in the past. That'd be funny. Tom says that's why rich old white men play it. Yeah, but I mean, my friends back home, to be fair, they're all white. This friend group, they're my age. They're 30 and they like to play it a lot. I mean, I guess 30's getting there. Yeah, it's a sport of leisure. Soccer is at least 90 minutes. Yeah, but there's a big gap between like 90 minutes versus 3.5 to 5 hours. Like 90 minutes versus, I just said, like you go out for an hour, play a game or whatever, play a few, like, it's just different. You go out for an hour, go out for 90 minutes, right? I feel like that falls into one category, more like getting actually like moving and everything like that, versus just 3.5 to 5 hours, walking around, sometimes on a cart, sometimes walking up, hitting something. It's just different. I'm not saying golfing's not exercise. I'm not saying golfing's not a sport. I'm not trying to say any of that. I'm just saying that it's more designed to pass your time, than any other sport that I can think of. Chillax Rita started putting out a really funny little mini analysis on Slifer the Sky Dragon, and I was reading, I was like, oh my god, I completely missed that when I was a kid. And then Chillax Rita says, I'm just kidding, I was making this up the whole time. Or what, I just made this shit up. I'm not hating on golf. I think golf is like probably a fun, tense sport to watch. Cricket is worse, could be infinite. You know what? I don't even count cricket. Like, I don't know the rules of cricket. I've tried watching cricket because, like, obviously I come from Indian origins. I've tried watching cricket multiple times. I've given it a shot. No, actually, that's not true. I tried watching cricket maybe like once, and then I got bored. Um, Really good movie. I guess it's a Bollywood movie. It's called Iqbal. Strongly recommend that. Iqbal is a very good movie. Iqbal. It's not one of the everybody dancing type Hindi movies. It's a bit more serious, a bit more real. King 6681. Do I have to put your? I'll put your prediction down as the first prediction. Here we go. All right, the camera's gonna go away for a second. Nobody freak out. All right. Nobody freak out. You guys can still hear me, right? You can still hear the sound of my voice. Good, good. All right, let me just check. All right. There we go. All right, we're still here. Don't worry about that. Don't even worry about it. All right. Okay. Here. I'll put your prediction down to get the ball rolling. Why did I say growing up? Did you say growing up? Is in the past. I don't know why I wrote growing up. Five Ds is peak Cyberpunk. I watched a bit of Five Ds because I heard it was good, but I think I watched it so yeah, I think in college I gave it a shot trying to watch it, and it's just I think at that age, you're kind of past the age where Yu-Gi-Oh is going to be exciting to watch in a show, When you're a kid, that shit is great. I think so. Like, it's hard to explain. Like, 5Ds could be better than the original Yu-Gi-Oh show or GX, but it's still very clearly a kid's cartoon. So it's harder to watch like that when you're older and evaluate. College was when my friends and I really got into Yu-Gi-Oh, and this was like a hidden sort of. This was like our biggest secret. This is a big secret. What is the probability of there being a second time skip in One Piece? I think 0, unless Elbaf time skip shenanigans are correct and we're actually missing time right now. But I don't think that's likely. Mr. MMF2, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 42 months. Yo, more Jesse, how's the shoulder? You still go to the gym? Also, I predict we'll get a Joy Boy face reveal next chapter. So funnily enough, we were talking about that earlier. So I've slowly declined in my gym going over the last, So how to explain this? You could actually track this if you go through old videos. You could track this. So, when I started the channel back when I didn't go to the gym, pretty much at all, right? Then I would say, so I was very skinny. Then, probably, I'd say 2020, maybe late 2019, but probably 2020 realistically. 2020 I did start working out regularly. And then from working out, I think 2020 I started working out regularly. Or as regularly as I could. COVID made it, then COVID. So I guess late, after COVID hit, I don't remember exactly the time. Maybe I had to take a break. And then 2021... Probably the period that I was working out most regularly would have been 2021 through 2022. And so I think that was when, I was working out most regularly during that period. Then at some point, I think in probably 2022-ish, I reached a point where um, it's not like I was huge or ripped or anything like that, but I felt good. Like I felt good enough with where my body was, and I didn't feel like the need to keep pushing myself because like I was never somebody who was like, oh, I want to be like huge or massive or something. But I was probably too skinny. I did want to get to a healthy body type where I felt good. And so once I hit that, then I'm like, okay, I'm good. Now I just want to maintain. So then I think from after that, I would go to the gym much less frequently, but enough to kind of maintain the reps that I was doing, you know? So like in my peak period going to the gym, I would go 4 days a week, right? I would go 4 days a week. For me, that was my peak period, right? Some people were 5 days, whatever. But peak period going to the gym, probably 2021 through 22, I would aim to go 4 days a week. Would I hit that every week? Not necessarily, but that was kind of the goal, right? Then after I kind of felt good, then I started going about 2 to 3 days a week, I think. And then as of last year, 2025, I think there's just been slow slippage. I think last year it got to a point where, especially because I started boxing, then there's even less time for going to the gym and lifting weights. And so then I reached, then it was like maybe 2 times a week, 1 to 2 times a week or whatever. And that's really poor for maintenance, right? Like you can go 2 to 3 times a week and maintain perfectly fine what you're doing. You can go even 2 times a week and maintain what you're doing, at least for upper body, okay? Once you're going less than 2 times a week, then it's going to be hard. So I think last year some slow slippage in the gym, and then especially the last 4 or 5 months with just life getting really busy work-wise. And then now that we've moved to the house, it's just like, okay, I need to make a change because now I don't even have the gym in the apartment complex. Therefore, now I need to, actually get the effort of going, like driving to a gym again. So now I'm trying to pick it back up. So hopefully we'll be back in good habits soon. But for example, I was supposed to go today and there was no time today. So now I'm going to try and go tomorrow. As for the shoulder, Mr. MMF2, the shoulder is my shoulder's been good for like years. My shoulder's all been good ever since it was 2022. Actually, when you guys remember, I had those terrible shoulder pains, probably over-exercise or something like that, right? My shoulder's been fine since then, except and I don't feel pain, but at night there is like a bit of I don't know how to explain, like stiffness, but there's no pain. I haven't felt pain since 2022. We'll get a Joy Boy face reveal next chapter. That would be crazy. My dogs are going crazy out there. I might have to step out for a second. JR182 thanks to 2. Why is Chopper the best doctor when there's Law and Marco? Because Chopper has the forest god fruit. So I think that'll be an advantage in the long term. Tom says, tell the flip-flop story? Yeah. I can't... What? How do you remember the flip-flop story? The flip-flop story is a very simple story. I assume as long as you're talking about the flip-flop story I'm thinking of. So in college, I would walk around... this was back when we still lived in the dorms. So I would walk around in flip-flops. You'd walk around your college dorm floor in flip-flops from room, like if you're going from one room to another room. So I had my favorite flip-flops, but they were not good quality flip-flops. So at one point, I was walking out of my door, and then like across the hall, I saw my friend. I think he was coming out of room or whatever, basically, and I was like, "Oh, what's up?" So then I went over to say hi, and then I'm walking over, and as soon as I start walking over, then my flip-flop breaks. And then I'm like, oh, what the hell? You broke my flip-flop. And then he's like, dude, I didn't break your flip-flop. but it was objectively broken because I was walking over to say hi to him. If you follow my logic, right? Um, so he clearly he shares part of like this flip flop breaking didn't happen in a vacuum. It's not like it was just sitting around and it magically broke, right? There was causes and effects, and he was objectively a cause, right? So the flip flop story is essentially, I tried to pressure him to buy me a new flip flop for a long time, and I brought up for quite some time that he broke my flip flop, which he denied. Is that the flip flop story that you're thinking of? Morge a victim blamer? How is he a victim? He has both of his flip flops intact. I'm the victim. It was my flip flops that were broken. That's not his fault, bro. Oh yeah, then how'd the flip flops break, huh? How'd the flip flops break? Because I remember before he showed up, they were fine, and then when I'm going over to say hi, I don't want it. That you guys are you're making similar arguments to him, and it just doesn't seem in good faith. Why is Chopper the best doctor? I think Chopper is the best doctor. Well, first of all, I don't know if Chopper is even the best doctor. I like in terms of like raw natural doctoring skill. I think it might be Correa, right? Couldn't Correa be the best? Is Chopper better? I don't know if Chopper surpassed Correa or not. Correa is probably very hard to surpass just because she's like so old, you know? So I don't know if Chopper ever surpassed Correa. Did Chopper surpass Correa? I don't know. He did go to that Torino kingdom and learn from the birds about pharmaceuticals, so there's that. He might be better than Correa at certain aspects, right? If you want to include devil fruits, I feel like there's things that Chopper can cure that Law and Marco can't. So, like, for example, like, I think Chopper is a better straight-up doctor than Law and Marco, right? Like, just in terms of medical knowledge, you know? Like, actually, like, without magic or whatever, being able to figure stuff out and fix it. I think Chopper's probably the best. Law can obviously do things that Chopper can't, because Law can literally remove people's bodies, like body parts, and operate on them and everything like that, so it's not really fair. And then Marco is magic, but, you know, I think Chopper overall is going to be better than, let's say, at least Marco, because, like, it's unfair to compare to Law, because Law literally has, he's very literally got the doctor fruit, right? Like, so it's not 100% fair, right? It's kind of like trying to compare Sanji making fire to Ace's fruit. No, although Sanji's Ifrit Jambe is probably hotter now, you know, than Sabo or Ace's fire. I don't know. That's its own discussion. Yeah, but we saw in Onigashima, right? We saw that Marco couldn't fix the Ice Oni virus, right? Chopper was the one who actually had to solve it. So just because you've got better magic healing powers and stuff, the doctor's expertise still helps. Now, that doesn't change the fact that the Ice Oni virus was stupid, and the way Chopper solved it was stupid. But, yeah. Ace by Comeback says, Morge used to look like a Baki character. I was there. Yeah, I was, there. If you go back to older videos, there's a period of time that I was, much more dense, I would say. Not much more, like, not crazy, but, more than, right now I'm slimmed down, for sure. Three to 4 days a week is plenty? Yeah, I agree. Corny K27, thanks to the 5. Could Emu's personality have been twisted over time from Fruit Awakening? Could explain extreme views and give interesting character arc / backstory. That's an interesting idea. I do think it's very possible because the fruit, like some people have already commented, and I feel like it could be possible that Emu is like the zone itself carries a different personality from Emu. But I think we need to see some more before coming to those conclusions. And yeah, it would give a very interesting character arc / backstory if he was corrupted by that. Tom remembers the... Yeah. Oh, Tom, you're talking about that flip flop. Okay, because I was like, I don't think I told that flip flop story ever. Okay, you were just talking. Okay, the flip flop. Here's the flip flop story. The other flip flop story. Okay, the other flip flop story is post college. This is a sadder flip flop story. Because I was wondering, I was like, did I even share that flip flop story on stream? Because it's just like a silly story. It's not like a serious story. Um, but the I'd say the window between okay, so there this would be 2020 now. 2020 COVID time through 2021, okay? So I'm living in Baltimore and I'm walking everywhere in flip-flops. I have this pair of good-ass flip-flops now, high-quality flip-flops. I love these flip-flops. I walk everywhere in the house with it. Uh, I take my dog everywhere with wearing these flip flops, and I'm walking my dog twice a day, right? So I'm walking everywhere in these flip flops, everywhere in these flip flops. Um, at some point, I started to feel some level of strain in my ankle, but like you never really know, what it is, whatever, right? And then eventually, it's like getting kind of bad, and then I realized that okay, maybe I shouldn't be walking in flip flops everywhere. Turns out I developed Achilles tendonitis in my left ankle during this period of time, and this was a real fucking like this was a real fucking problem going forward. Okay, this was actually like genuinely terrible. Because, how to explain? It wasn't bad in the sense that, like, I could still do everything. I could still move, I could still run, I could still do pretty much everything, but to a limited degree. So if I did anything that involved too much physical activity for an extended period of time, if I wanted to do anything physical, like any sort of sport thing or anything for any extended period of time, right? It would hurt quite a bit at the end, and there was always the risk that it would actually, tear, right? So, and it was one of those things where like even just walking a lot was bad for it. Like even just walking too much was bad for it. So this I'm genuinely so upset about this. Achilles tendonitis, this was a problem for me for 3 straight years, from 2021 all the way through the start of 2024. So 2.5 years, okay? 2.5 years of my life where I was basically very limited in my physical activity, and I fucked myself up because what happened is, I don't even know if this story is interesting, but I just got to get it off, okay? This is actually good for you guys to know, okay? Because there's an important lesson in this, which is... So I did eventually go to a doctor in 2022 for so I got an Achilles problem. What's going on? He gave me this heel thing to put in my shoe, okay, in my left shoe, to give me a little bit more buffer, so I didn't have to stretch my Achilles that much. He gave me that. He said, just do that for a few months, you'll be better. The doctor was almost correct because there's a crucial part that he left out, which is that I needed to, after the Achilles slowly started to feel better, I needed to start working it out again. Because the Achilles tendonitis had gotten so bad that I really tried to limit my movement across all possible things, okay? He gives me the shoe thing, and now I can move around fine, walk around fine, and everything like that. But because you got this little lift thing in there, now I'm not having to stretch my ankle as much, so it's not getting worked out, okay? So that means that there comes this, intersection where you've rested the body part enough, but now you need to start actually slowly working it out and testing it again to get it back to where it was. The doctor did not tell me that part. I should have maybe figured that out myself or something, but he was just like, here, just put this in your shoe for a few months and it's good. And it was the worst thing ever because it put me on this trajectory where it made it much less painful overall. But if I didn't use that little heel thing, then I would feel pain. And on top of that, it's it just was not getting better, period. So a year and a half, 2 years went by, and I'm just like, what is going on? Like, when is this going to improve? Yada, yada. And then finally I had to go to some other doctor who basically told me, yeah, you need to, he lied. He said that you need to go into physical therapy and we'll teach you how to like do all of these stretches and stuff for it. And I was like, okay, that's whatever. I didn't do that. All I did was I looked up some stretches online, and then I kind of did those a little bit, and then it literally got better like that. It was really fucking fast. Here's the moral of the story. Everything got better after I took out the heel thing again. Okay, so like initially pain was high, put in the heel thing, that fixed the pain a lot, but didn't completely fix the problem. So I just had that for a long time, and I was like, when am I going to get better? When am I going to get better? And then finally the real answer was I needed to take the heel thing out and now let my ankle actually work out again at full strain and slowly get better from there, you know? So it's like some sort of moral about like holding on to crutches for too long. That's it. Not the most interesting story, but it is a lesson. Sounds like a typical American doctor experience. Yeah, I don't know. This is like, by the way, a random side thing. Health insurance. When you're self-employed, that's kind of the biggest catch to there's insurance and stuff. is the tricky thing. Doctors will never say real preventative measures, so don't listen to doctor's law. No, the lesson is not so don't listen to doctors, because both doctors were technically correct. The first doctor was right in that the heel lift was needed, okay? Because like before, the Achilles was so injured that like I'd been walking, I'd been using it and stuff, but it was just injuring it more and more. The heel lift took the strain off of it enough that it could get back to a better place. But it can never get back to 100% if you don't actually start using it normally again. You know what I mean? Because then it's basically in a state where it's constantly being babied. So the final step was like I did need the heel lift. That first doctor was right. But then but I also needed the other part of it, which is like, okay, he needed to tell me when is the time to take the heel lift out and start actually like using it again, right? The second doctor was right that I needed to stretch it, but it was complete BS that I needed physical therapy or whatever. Because that's just them trying to get more money, you know? The flip-flop saga ended, or is it? I don't wear flip-flops anymore. That's the saddest part about this whole thing. I don't wear flip-flops. I used to love wearing flip-flops. I really did. You just feel so casual walking down the street in flip-flops. It feels good. Feels good. Have you guys seen The Pit? I've been liking The Pit a lot. It's made me think that doctors are pretty cool. Hold on. Okay, let me catch up on these. Antoinic49, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 9 months. Usopp will wake up and will be set up for his clutch moment. Next chapter? Maybe. Also, Pirate King podcast submissions are up right now. For those of you who don't know, the Pirate King podcast is a podcast for my top tier of patrons. Every single Pirate King tier member can submit a question about One Piece, other anime, manga, TV shows, real life, sports, movies, whatever. And I'll answer as in-depth as I can in a way that I usually don't have time to on streams. And it's all compiled into an hour and a half-ish long podcast that, you all can listen to. And there's like 40 other Pirate King podcasts in the past that you can also listen to as well, if you want to consider joining and supporting at Pirate King level. So, Usopp will wake up and will be set up for his clutch moment. I wonder if that'll happen this soon. I do believe it'll happen at some point. GDY7 says first person to get Achilles tendonitis while walking. It's worse than that. I legitimately, at a certain point, was worried that I was like, how fucking embarrassing would it be if I tore my Achilles just from walking, like walking a lot. I'm like, what the fuck would that say about me? That'd be really, really bad. Because normally athletes, like, they go through so much wear and tear before that happens. But literally, just don't wear flip-flops everywhere. Taptio Treviso, thanks to 2. Wano analysis is 1 month and 5 days away, remember? Oh, fuck. Forgot about that shit. Damian Wright, 4441, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 32 months, man. Prediction, Emu gets the clear upper hand on Loki. Luffy saves the day with a big named attack. Sommers and killing him, go after the kids again and try to find a ship to transport them. Emu gets the clear upper hand on Loki. Oh, okay. This is a real ass prediction. Let's all listen up to Damian Wright. Also, thank you for being a Pirate King tier member, man. Make sure to go get your submission in, because the submissions are up. Emu gets the clear upper hand on Loki. I wonder if Luffy just comes out swinging with like Bajirungan Gatling or something like that. Yeah, I don't know if the whole kids plan, if they're still, I completely forgot that was their initial scheme. It just seems so inconsequential now in the grand scheme of things, you know. Also, let's get stream likes up to 100 real quick. Let's get stream likes up to 100. Francisco Mas 473, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 43 months, man. Hi, Morge, how's your shoulder? How's God damn it. Nothing to do with the next chapter, but been following the series for 5 years, and I feel like I'm losing some interest. Elbaf is great, but I just don't get as excited anymore. It's completely it. First of all, thank you for the long time support, and you as well. Definitely get your submission in for the Pirate King podcast. This is a peak interesting point in the story, I would say. This is like a peak interesting point. This is one of the coolest sections of the story, right? Like Luffy, Loki, the Straw Hats all up against Emu right now, you know, and we're full swing in battle, and Oda's writing full fight scenes, you know. So this is like one of the most exciting parts of the story. As you say, Elbaf is great. If you just don't get as excited anymore, I think that's reflective of something like, that's it. I think that's reflective of something else because, I don't know. It just might mean that you're falling out of love with the series, right? And that's perfectly natural. That happens with all sorts of series at all sorts of points, right? Because it's one thing if it's like, okay, I'm not really enjoying what's going on, don't think it's good, and therefore you're falling off. But it sounds like you just aren't as emotionally pulled by One Piece as you were in the past. Because it's obviously you love Elbaf, or no, you like Elbaf. You think Elbaf is great. And yeah, it's like one of those where like, this is one of the most exciting points in One Piece. So if you're not enjoying this right now, it might just mean that you just no longer have the same attachment to the series as you once did. And that's okay. You know, that's okay. Things change. It's definitely on me. I love One Piece. Maybe it's burnout. What if you took a little bit of a break and then saw if how you feel if chapters accumulate? That's what I'm doing right now with... That's what I do for most series in general that are not One Piece, you know? Like Kagurabachi, let that pile up. Chainsaw Man, I let that pile up for a while, you know? Most series, I tend to just let the chapters pile up and then I catch up. Ace but comeback, thanks for... Oh, this is a great example. Thanks for the 5. More thoughts on JoJo Lands. So, that's a series that I'm gonna let the chapters pile up. You're saying it's incredible, in my opinion, that paneling, action, characters are all Araki at his peak. The main villain is also very saucy. So I started JoJo Lands. I think I got like a couple chapters in. I will try to get... I will let it play its full story out, probably, before reading it. I want it to end before reading it just because JoJo's progresses slowly. more slowly than any other series because the plot is usually secondary to the fight, like the stand battles that are happening in the moment, right? So like anytime a new stand battle begins, usually the overall plot just pauses for several chapters, like and JoJo's chapters are very long because it's a monthly release now, right? So you know, and stand battles are cool and everything like that, but I think I enjoy them more binged because part of it is also that most stand battles don't tend to have consequences, right? So it's more just a fun fight, right? Some stand battles do have significant consequences, but a lot of stand battles are just like, here's a fun fight, right? So for me, the reading experience of like every month waiting for a new chapter, and most of those chapters will just be the continuation of just a fun fight. I think I much rather just, like every other JoJo's part, I got to read all in one go. Even part 8. I finished part 7, and I did not read part 8 until part 8 finished. Once part 8 finished, once JoJo finished, then I read it from start to finish. But I did not want to do the monthly reading experience. So I think same thing with JoJo Lands. I'm just going to wait for the whole thing to finish out. Also, part 8, part 8 was my favorite part for the first half. Really loved it. And then in the second half, I was just like, okay, this is not it. This is not it. I think because I think Araki's biggest weakness is overall planning of his story. And part 8 attempts to be a mystery. Mystery is probably the one genre that you need to plan really meticulously for it to hit. So part 8 disappointed me in a lot of ways, which is why part 9 I want to wait to kind of see, how does it turn out before really spending time on it. Tiptio, thanks to 2. Prediction, Morge misses deadline for Wano analysis. Technically, it's not a deadline for the Wano analysis. It's a deadline for me dropping a video praising Wano. But my hope is to make that the Wano analysis. Ryan Dufour 8008, thanks to the 5. Prediction, it is revealed that Imu was not freeing Gunko, but attempting to kill her for regaining her memories. Oh, shit. That would be a cool reveal. Antoinic49, thanks a lot. Josie Dirts, thanks to the 5. Next chapter, Loki finally shows his hybrid, but like most hybrid forms, Imu flexes on Loki and kinda hypes him up. Ends with Luffy 100% ready to pull up. Next chapter, Loki finally shows his hybrid, but like most hybrid intros, Imu flexes on Loki. Okay, showing hybrid is cool. Loki shows hybrid form. Imu flexes on him. Ends with Luffy ready to pull up. More trying to cheat us out of that big Wano analysis. I want to finish it too. Let's see. I'm trying to treat that as like a potential date to get it out. This is the perfect time for Shanks and his crew to pull up. I think it would make sense. I don't know about right here. I think that we need to let Imu, do his thing for a little bit longer. I don't know about right here. Oh, shoot, I missed this. Antoinic, thanks to the 5. Just started part 3. I really like Jotaro, but Joseph is what got me to love the series. Jotaro is really funny to me. Jotaro is my favorite JoJo. Jotaro is my favorite JoJo, but he's really funny to me because he gradually became my favorite JoJo. And Joseph is the... I don't want to spoil things, but Joseph was my favorite right off the bat, right? Like, and I think Joseph is the most immediately endearing. Um, but it's a combination of a few things. One, Joseph's part is very short, right? It's a very short part in the story, so you don't get as much time with him as the main character. And then two, over the next couple, like, I don't want to spoil anything, but I'll just say that it feels like after Joseph's main part, right, part two, going forward, Araki basically turns Joseph into a joke and like really disrespects him in a lot of different ways, I would say. Like Joseph is turned into a joke, I would say. And it makes it hard, like, and Araki goes really out of his way to make Jotaro really, really cool and really, really badass in comparison to Joseph. Jotaro, I really disliked initially because he's just an asshole. He's just an asshole, and he's kind of got like anger problems, and he's blunt and abrasive and a dick, and he kind of doesn't have any respect for anybody else. Okay, so let's look at his main traits. Right, early on, he is blunt, abrasive, disrespectful of others. Right, does what he wants. Has anger issues, right? So initially I was like, okay, this guy is like very different from Joseph. He will probably learn humility over time and change and grow and become more likable. Like we're set for a character arc. No. That's if anything, Jotaro is very much himself forever. He gains some level of maturity as time goes on, but not in the sense that like, oh, he ever has like some sort of character arc where he's like humbled and learns to be nicer and more respectful. You know, he kind of just like slowly is like a little bit nicer or whatever, but never because he never learns a lesson. It's not like, oh, this is like a deeply flawed character that we're supposed to see like grow and change. It's like, no, this is just who Jotaro is, and you can deal with it or shut up, basically. And just over time, like Joseph, you like right away. For me with Jotaro, he just slowly chips away. Like he gets lots of good moments over time that eventually I'm just like, is this asshole just gonna get away with being an asshole to everybody? And then eventually it's just like, yeah, I guess so. It's just, that's just who he is. He's just Jotaro. He's just the star. And it's even like when you see Jotaro, like initially, like I love Joseph, right? Joseph was my favorite. And then Jotaro is just this rude, literally a teenage kid that's like talking shit to him, being disrespectful, being a dick to Joseph. Jotaro is almost never respectful to Joseph. There are times where he's like, you know, friendly and buddy-buddy with him, but he pretty much never treats him like, you know, like normally in anime and manga you get kind of used to like the younger character treating their grandpa or sensei or whatever, like the mentor figure with respect. Jotaro never once treats Joseph with respect. There are many situations where Jotaro basically calls Joseph stupid and he has to clean up Joseph's mess, or Joseph's a fucking idiot for most of part 3. And it's like he's always 2 steps behind Jotaro. I cannot remember a situation where Joseph did something super smart that Jotaro didn't think of, okay? So the whole part, I'm thinking like, this sucks. I'm seeing my favorite JoJo, Joseph, be treated like shit, be treated like this idiot, right? And then Jotaro, this rude asshole kid, he's an asshole to everyone, and he's an asshole to the JoJo that I like the most, and he's not respectful, and there's no mentor-mentee relationship or anything like that. There's not even a fucking grandfather-grandchild relationship. It was just a lot of stuff that I initially did not like, and then over time I just got used to it. I'm like, it is what it is. Over time, Jotaro became my favorite JoJo. It just slowly happened. Uh, Joseph taught Jotaro the secret Joestar technique. You're right. You're right. There is. I mean, there's one instance where you see Jotaro taking a page out of Joseph's book. Chillax Rita says, I don't like part 3 Joseph. He's so different as an old man that my friend described him as they killed Joseph and replaced him with a character also named Joseph, and I agree. Yeah, he's just not. They also gave him the worst possible stand ability ever. I think it legitimately might be the worst stand ability in existence. Like, legitimately. I think that's the worst stand. Every time he needs to use it, he needs to purchase like a $5,000 camera and break it to use it once. There are exceptions. He can do little other things with it, but it's like the most inconvenient ability ever for it's an extreme inconvenience for the benefit of something that's like a very niche benefit. There's way worse stands? No, there's not. No, there's not. You can say that, but if you were in the JoJo's universe and you were walking around with, like, keep in mind, you're walking around and your biggest fear, because you're in the JoJo's universe, is fucking other stand users, right? And there's some stand users that can fucking, like, cause plagues, that can, like, shoot fire, that can, like, shoot tracing bullets, travel into mirrors to kill you, all of that stuff. And your stand is buy a camera to see something. You would be so dead. You know how dead Joseph is probably the only stand user in that group where, like, if you just left him on his own and told him to try and complete the adventure, he would die within 2 enemies. Yeah, exactly. Ender says Joseph's stand is dog shit on purpose so he doesn't outshine Jotaro. Exactly. To be fair, he does have Hamon. Yeah, but why does he have such a shitty stand? Like, stands tend to represent the character in some sense. I'm like, the ability doesn't even match Joseph. It kind of just feels like they needed that for the plot, and they also needed something that makes Joseph fucking useless as a combatant, as Ender said, to not outshine Jotaro. So Araki came up with that. One of the Darby brothers has to beat you in Mario Kart to knock you off. That's not how his ability actually works. Like, put it this way. If I ran into one of the Darby brothers, I would be fucking terrified. If you ran into Joseph, you'd be like, oh, it's a chill day. Literally nothing to worry about. Like, there's nothing to worry about with that dude. Joseph's stand would be great in the real world. Powerball, here I come. I agree it would be good in the real world. Unfortunately, he lives in a world where there's actually strong stand users. It was useful for the plot. But, not, not something you'd want if you're actually trying to, survive in the JoJo's universe, If you got a team of friends of, like, the strongest stand users around protecting you, then it's okay. Dear Boppler, thanks a lot. We find out that Emu and Moo are different people. Green Tornado X says, you wouldn't fear a Hamon Master. 1 hit and you're so dead. That's exactly the point, which is you would only fear him for the Hamon, right? You didn't even make a defense for the stand. I'm talking specifically about the stand. There's also, yeah, there's also, well, no, I don't want to spoil anything about future parts. Yeah, I think Joseph was done dirty. Diptio, thanks for the 2. Notorious B.I.G. only activated after the user died. Well, I'm much more fucking scared of Notorious B.I.G. than Joseph Stand. Green Tornado X, did you read Steel Ball Run, JoJo Leon, JoJo Lands? Did I read Steel Ball Run, JoJo Leon, JoJo Lands? I've not read JoJo Lands, but I've read the other 2. I have not yet watched Steel Ball Run on Netflix. I don't like the release schedule. I don't want to watch that episode and then wait a long time. I'm probably going to wait till the next episode comes out and watch that. Pull a win out of his ass like he kept doing in part 2, LMAO. He was surviving against Dio 1v1. That's due to his Hamon, not due to his stand. Remember, he wrapped himself up with some shit and then put Hamon armor on it. So again, not due to his stand. Those characters are... Oh, you're saying those characters are so much better than Jotaro? I mean, Jotaro's not a deep character. He's not a deep character. He's just him. He's still my favorite JoJo. The Steel Ball Run... I guess I can spoil it, right? Johnny is a really well-written character. I don't care for the protagonist of Part 8. I tried to get behind him for some time. I don't know if I can say the name. If that's a spoiler. Or, I mean, Josefumi. Whatever. Yeah, I just didn't feel like I ultimately really got... He doesn't feel distinct to me among all the JoJos. And I didn't care for his story as much either. Morja, why aren't you watching the NBA playoffs right now? Because there's nothing to hope for. The Thunder are going to win. I'm not going to put myself through this again. Gappy, just say Gappy. I forgot that they even called him that for a long time. The best thing about Jotaro is that he's canonically trying to act like Clint Eastwood. Oh, that's fun. Yeah, the rough part about Gappy is that there's a clear comparison point. Again, without spoiling, there is a clear comparison point to Josuke. My favorite JoJo's protagonists would be, in order, it would be something like Jotaro, Johnny. No. Jotaro, Johnny. If Joseph ended at just part 2, I would have Joseph number 1. But I cannot forget what they've done to the... unfortunately, his stint in part 3 is mostly how I remember him. So it's grappling with part 2. And I don't want to spoil something about future stuff even beyond. Joseph's... The author really runs Joseph into the ground. So I've Joseph at 3. Not best written, just most enjoyable main characters. Jolene becomes very enjoyable over the course of the part. Jotaro's number 1 largely because of tenure. It was a gradual process, and I guess it's not a spoiler. It's not even a big spoiler to say Jotaro does not go away after part 3. His is very much just they slowly made him kind of the centerpiece of the JoJo's universe in a sense. I guess I got Josuke next. And then honestly, I really dislike Giorno. I dislike Giorno quite a bit during his part. But at least his personality felt more distinct to me than... I think Gappy might be my least favorite because I feel like his personality is the least distinct. I think Jonathan is terrible. I think this is not my order for like how well written I think each of these characters are in their respective parts. I think Jonathan is really, really like one dimensional, doesn't even cut it. It's not even like a 0-dimensional character. So if I were to say who I think the worst written JoJo is, I would probably have Jonathan. But I just don't have strong memories of this character, Gappy. So this is like, yeah, in terms of preference, I think that this would be my list of favorite JoJos. I think I like all 1 through 4. I'm not a big Josuke fan. I like him fine. But he irritates me at points, especially when he cheats against Rohan. That for some reason that really sticks in my head and really bothers me because Kishibe Rohan is like one of my favorite characters in JoJo's period. So I can't really get behind Josuke as much. And then the bottom 3 I think I just did not care for. Fatingo, do you think Emu will appear in shadow form again? So, oh wait, I missed one. Let me get to you next, Fatingo. David Shenley, thanks for the 10. Hey Morch, first time catching you live. Not a chapter prediction, but would love seeing Kuma use his last piece of sentience to save the Straughts by teleporting them to Dragon before Emu finally kills him. Oh, that would be cool. That'd be really cool. I would love that scene. That'd be a really cool scene. That'd be a really cool scene. Josuke is just a teen. I mean, Jotaro is just a teen, and Jotaro is very different than Josuke. Josuke felt like an actual teen. Jotaro... I remember there was a scene where, like, we get reminded, like, Jotaro's like, oh yeah, Kakyoin and I are both students, so we'll share a room. And I'm like, these fucking, like, 30-year-old, like, ripped-ass gigantic men are, like, sitting here talking like, oh yeah, we're both students. I'm like, it's just bizarre to remember that, like, you look at fucking Polnareff and Kakyoin and Jotaro and you're like, yeah, they're all, like, roughly the same age range, right? But then you're reminded that, no, Polnareff is, like, an older dude, and then these two are like, they all look roughly the same, you know what I mean? Yeah, I think that'd be a cool scene, Defish and Davish and Lee. And thanks for, I'm happy you were able to join a live stream. Fatingo, thanks to 2. Do you think Emu will appear in shadow form again? Do I think Emu... I hope so, because I feel like the shadow form is kind of broken, right? I feel like it's really, really, really good. The shadow form is really strong. It's just not used as much as it should be, I think. I mean, or no, I mean, it is used. He used it the entire time up till now, and he only came in his true form because he had to. I guess my worry is that the shadow form seems like nearly unbeatable. I hope Oda doesn't throw away that concept, you know? Because it's like, the shadow form is so strong. So, are we just gonna ignore that now that Emu's fighting in his real form? Like, from now to the rest of the story, do we not see Emu fight in shadow form anymore? Because it is really broken, just in a different way than his main form. And arguably more broken in the sense that you can't actually hurt it, right? You can hurt his true form. So I hope Oda doesn't ignore that, you know? Yeah. Tio Treviso, thanks to the 2. Prediction, we get a hint to the man marked by flames. Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. Also, watch out for Tuesday's video, speaking of the man marked by flames. Jonathan was an IRL mythical hero. Yeah, he was just the most straightforward archetype. Kakyoin was great. Kakyoin, I always felt, had like very limited personality compared to the rest of that party. I remember when all he had was Shadow Form and Morge thought Emu was a Dami Reversi merchant. Yeah, I did think he might be a Dami Reversi merchant. Because that's what it looked like up till then. It's technically true that in the Shadow Form, he is essentially an invulnerability and Dami Reversi merchant. Because he doesn't actually, like... He doesn't really seem to be able to, like, throw hands in that form, right? So it's limited, obviously... But the fact that he can't be damaged, I think, shouldn't be overlooked. He literally beat Vampire Dio without Hamon. Yeah, Jonathan was cool. Jonathan was cool in moments, just also boring overall. I think in part 1, my favorite fight is actually... I don't care for most of part 1. In part 1, though, my favorite fight is the mansion fight. Just seeing a normal dude go up against a vampire. I only think the regen is a hockey check. I hope so. I hope it's just... all I want is it to be shown at some point that the regen can be overcome, and that's all. I'm good beyond that. 001 Dave says, prediction, Luffy returns and Loki gets Dami reversied. I have a little theory as to why I don't think Loki can get Dami reversied, but... and it's not related to the fruits and stuff. But, we'll see. Alright. When are they going to drop the next chapter? Next Friday. This is not your first break week. You've seen break weeks before. Could Sommers fly before the Maki add-on? I don't know if he's flying right now or if it was just a really big jump. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 100 real quick. Part 2 is the worst one. My favorite parts in order are... I think 5... The anime makes 5 really cool. Where do I put 6? 6 is better in the manga than the anime. So if I take the best... It's hard to compare, right? Because, like... 6 is better in the manga than the anime. Part 5 is better in the anime than the manga. It's just hard to compare a little bit because of the adaptation. Where do I put 6? 6 has the coolest ending. I think 6 has the best ending. Like 6 better or 8 better? I think ultimately I like 6 better than 8. Yeah. I think I would say this is my rough ranking off the top of my head. If I went and did a rewatch or reread, my mind might change. How was the Steel Ball Run anime episode? Holy Ropa with Sushi Boost is a game changer for the power scale. I just hate it because I'm just like, they already get a power boost, right? What is the point of another power boost for me? Like, it's frustrating. I'm just like, are they this weak that they need 2 amps from their boss to become, like, competent villains? Zolden3410, thanks for being a Pirate King to your member for 32 months, and make sure to get your submissions in for the Pirate King podcast. Those are live. We get a small silhouetted flashback of the previous Nidhogg user, and thank you for all the comments. Helps me get through work. Oh, yeah. I'm glad that we're able to help entertain you at work. Let's see. Small silhouetted flashback of previous Nidhogg user. And that's from... It's extremely good. Nice. Yoshikage Kira carried second half of part 4. I think Kira was cool, but I like the slice of life vibe regardless. I think I just like part 4 feels very fun and cozy to me. Just a really enjoyable part. Um, if I were to say villains, right, favorite villains, then I would go. My favorite villains list is probably pretty controversial. I'll do it by parts so I don't spoil people. I know I already spoiled people on the protagonists, but I think spoiling protagonists is not as big as spoiling villains. Part 7 has the best villain, but I think this might be one of my most controversial JoJo's takes. I'm not even saying this is a good character or anything like that. I love the Part 8 villain. Love the Part 8 villain. Just the manner in which he was built up and introduced was really bad, but I love the Part 8 villain. Love the design, the style, the personality, even though we don't get that much of it, and the stand is phenomenal. Coolest final villain stand. Honestly, for some of these villains, I think the stand does a lot of the work. How do I feel about Cars? I thought Cars was kind of lame. Dio was such a letdown. I think Dio is my biggest letdown about the JoJo series from like what you hear about it beforehand. Like, because Dio is a very famous anime villain, right? He's a very famous anime villain. You know, you will hear a lot about Dio and memes about Dio and stuff like that far in advance before you ever try JoJo's, right? He's one of the most iconic anime villains. And then you try the series and it's like a 5-year-old could come up with this villain. Like, this is basically if you asked a 5-year-old to come up with like a scary vampire bad guy, it'd be like that. It would probably have a lot of dialogue like Dio does. You know, maybe five is too much of a stretch. Like a 12-year-old, right? It would probably have dialogue like Dio does, and motivations like Dio does. So I was just like Dio's thing is basically just like, I'm an evil vampire and I'm evil, and I'm a bad guy, and that's pretty much everything he says. And I hate you, JoJo. That's his other catchphrase, essentially. Different variations of like, I hate you, JoJo. You suck. I'm evil vampire. Right? So that really threw me. But then I was like, wait a sec. Okay, Dio's going to be a recurring villain. So then he comes back in part 3 and it's like, now let's see what this dude's about. It's like the same thing. Same shtick, right? So I was just thrown because I'm like, if I was never part of the internet, like if I never had the internet and I was just watching JoJo's just on my own or something, Dio would never be a part of the story that stands out as a strength. It would just kind of be like, oh yeah, that was that silly, goofy villain that they fought. I think I realized later on, my assumption now is basically like people like Dio. I thought Dio was going to be a really great villain, but now I guess I'm realizing that people like him because he's like a very memeable villain. I just thought that he was also actually going to be a great villain and not just a meme villain. But from my understanding at this point is that people really like Dio because he's a very memeable villain, you know? Dio's just entertaining, which is fair enough. I think I just don't even find him that entertaining. I agree that being entertaining is a big part of likability. You know, like again, I was like, well, Jotaro's not the deepest JoJo by any means, but he is an entertaining, enjoyable JoJo. But Dio just feels very generic to me from start to finish. Dio's older than fucking Frieza by a good bit. Yeah, Frieza is another like simple villain, but Frieza I do legitimately find very entertaining. I guess sometimes it's hard to pin down exactly why. Certain things are the way they are. You know why? Because I think Frieza was a villain that at the very least, like for Grand Emperor of the Universe or whatever, and like this unstoppable force, I think Frieza really felt like a threat throughout it. Not that Dio didn't feel like a threat, especially towards the end of part 3. Like, Dio did feel like a threat, but, like, Frieza just does a lot more in his parts, personally. Yeah, I'm not even asking him to feel deep, but just not, like, a cookie cutter. And to me, Dio feels like very much like a cookie cutter, you know? Uh, Slowpoke Picnic, thanks. Watch Haman beats Dio video on stream with us. I don't know about that. I don't know if I'm gonna watch that. I don't know what that is. I think Part Seven's villain is phenomenal. I love Part Eight's villain. Like, I think, you know what? It's just different strokes for different folks, you know? Because, like, I can say all that about Dio, but then look at me. I really like Part Eight's villain, and Part Eight's villain doesn't really have that much going for him, you know? Other than cool design. I like the personality and vibe. I think the moment that definitely sold me is when he started listening to his iPod or whatever. Are you waiting a decade to read JoJo Lands? Honestly, yeah, to however long it takes to finish. JoJo Part 1 is closer to Fist of the North Star than DBZ. I've considered watching... oh, no, you know what? I have actually watched an episode or two of Fist of the North Star, but I just skipped around to the parts that I thought, parts that people said were good fights or whatever, or good moments, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about these. These are okay. Did Morge ever watch Cowboy Bebop? Yeah, I watched Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop, really enjoyed it, like everybody else. Only thing I can say is, like, it's not a series that I almost ever itch to go back to, and I don't know why. Like, I'm almost never like, let me rewatch an episode of Cowboy Bebop. I don't know why. Love the vibe, love the art style, love the characters. Some of the episodes are phenomenal. I don't know. I don't know. I almost never even remember Cowboy Bebop unless I'm reminded of it, you know? Beelzebub. Oh, I love Beelzebub. Samurai Champloo I haven't seen. Black Lagoon, that's the one with that dude who's a normal dude who gets wrapped up with, like, a bunch of, like assassins or something like that, or like a crime group or something. Like, it's like a normal dude getting wrapped up with stuff. I tried that a little bit. Samurai Champloo never watched. Beelzebub, my heart aches when I think about Beelzebub. Used to be one of my top few favorite series, period. I loved Beelzebub. Some of my absolute... I think the way... Because I was never big into Gintama's storyline. I watched a lot of Gintama's comedy episodes, but I never really, like, read the whole Gintama actual story from start to finish, you know? So I actually don't know all of the plot stuff. I know all the characters. I know lots of the comedy episodes, the dentist episode, the Zanpakuto parody episode, the popularity rankings episode, the Dragon Ball Z parody episode. I've seen so many, like the funeral episode. I've seen so many comedy episodes of Gintama. So many comedy episodes of Gintama. I know so many comedy bits of Gintama. I don't know the plot of Gintama. I watched Gintama as though it was a sitcom. I did not watch the serious parts of Gintama. Main reason being, my friend in high school was who's the only other anime fan that I was friends with then, but he wasn't an anime fan like the way I was a anime fan. He was a more casual anime fan, but the one series that he was like into was Gintama. So he would like show me episodes to try and get me into that, but he only wanted to show me the comedy episodes. So like I did end up watching through him a shit ton of the comedy episodes, and they were really good. So I feel like I know Gintama very well. But anyway, bottom line, the way people probably feel about Gintama in terms of like being a series like with a good plot and characters, but also really funny, that's probably how I felt about Beelzebub. Beelzebub was Gintama to me, you know? I loved Beelzebub. Dhruv the One, thanks for the 5. Not sure if this was said, but I'm predicting a double-page combined attack from Luffy and Loki. Also hot take, but part 3 is my personal favorite, lol. I don't think that's a hot take at all. I think there's a good reason to like every part. Although I will say, like, if part one is your favorite, I think part one being your favorite, I think, like, everybody's gonna have preferences. I think that would be the one that I would have the hardest time grasping what makes part one someone's favorite. That's the one that I would just be the most, like, surprised by. But beyond that, like, I would say, there's a strong reason for every single one. Part two, a lot of people feel like Joseph has the best, Joseph is the most fun protagonist, right? And that's when the fights were still Haman based, so maybe you prefer that and the creativity that goes into that. Part three, I'd say part three is the most, like, distilled classic form of JoJo's, right? Because part one and two become they're their own thing, right? And part three is where, like, the classic concept of JoJo's is born, which is just like, it is the most straightforward, clean plot, which is our group needs to get from A to B, and it's the journey doesn't even matter, really. Like, I don't even remember which episodes are set in Egypt versus India or wherever. All you remember is it just becomes a string of, like, back to back to back to back to back stand fights with, your wacky group of main characters. It just is like the distilled concept of JoJo's, right? And some stand battles are terrible, some stand battles are iconic, right? Yeah. And then from there on, like, you've got different reasons. Everyone, like, part four is a vibe. People love the villain. People love, the mystery, but also the slice of life. People love the main character, right? Part five has, in my opinion, the best stand battles overall. Part six, I think for me personally, I think part six has the coolest ending and kind of feels like a finale in many ways. So I can see people really enjoying that. I don't think the prison setting is that good personally, but part six, again, I think coolest ending, most ambitious ending, most ambitious JoJo's gets in a lot of ways. Part seven, best overall character writing, most interesting direction in terms of, like, its story conclusions. Well, yeah, you could say so much about part seven, right? I don't want to spoil how things go. Part eight, I don't know if there's any. I think part 8 has. I think part 8 has some very interesting and weird stand abilities and scenarios that happen that are non-traditional for JoJo's. It's a little bit more out there. While I was reading part 8, it was turning into my favorite JoJo's. It's just the plot really falls apart and makes it feel like a lot was really pointless or not well thought out. Yeah. So part 8, I don't know if there's any one thing I'm like, part 8 definitely does better than the rest. I'd say the villain stand. I don't know. Part 6 only gets good halfway. First half is rough. I'd go so far as to say, like, it's 2/3 of the way through that it gets good, personally. I just don't. Yeah, I think the prison. What's wrong with the prison setting? I think the problem with the prisons. I think there's a lot of things with part 6 that are a little tricky, which is I don't think the main cast outside of Jolene is good. It's hard to explain why sometimes the main cast can be really likable versus not likable. I did not think that part 6's main cast is too good. So that's number one. Jolene is good. Part 6, I think, also has the best character arc for the main character up till, for JoJo's part till that point. Then part 7 is obviously better for Johnny, but Jolene has the most growth out of any JoJo's, out of any JoJo protagonist till that point. So I think the main cast is not the most likable. And then I think the tricky thing with the prison is that it feels like the prison. I don't know. What is it about the prison that's not as interesting? What is it about the prison that's not as interesting? Maybe it feels like it's because... I think maybe it's because it feels like we're stalling for time a little bit, because it feels like the real plot is outside the prison. You know? Like, the real plot is about, like, you know... I don't want to ruin the plot, but you can tell from early on that the main stuff requires getting out of the prison. I'd say that's a part of it. I don't know. Poochie I don't like as a villain. Y'all need to reread Y'all Sleeping on Gappy. Yeah, I'm sure there's more to him. I was very interested in him as a character, and when the full character concept came together, I thought it was cool. But I think just page to page, personality wise, I don't really love him. Part six is elevated by Araki really going out there. Yeah, I think the everything out. That's the thing. I think everything post prison is gold. It's just so much of the story spent in the prison. No misogyny shit, but I can't fuck with a majority female cast. I don't think part six isn't even a majority female cast, is it? It's like 50-50 at best, because you got Jolie and Hermes, and then you've got Anasui, Weather Report. What's the name of the kid? Oh, you got Foo Fighters as well. But Foo Fighters isn't even really a girl. Foo Fighters is like gender neutral, you know? What's the name of the kid? Emporio? Yeah, it's not even a majority female cast. Feng Shui is where I drew the line. The Feng Shui stuff was crazy. Like that. Yeah, that whole set. That whole section where she's trapped in the crucible had potential to be really cool. Feng Shui is cool and also dumb. It's hard to explain. I think I'm just trolling. I love and respect all people. I think the thing with Feng Shui is that uh, in the manga, because I read part six first in the manga, and I found it hard to follow that fight. Dragon's Dream. Oh yeah, Anasui, they changed the gender part way or something, right? Feng Shui is literally the dumbest fight in the whole series for me. I remember kind of glossing over it in the manga. You know one thing that they ruined in the so one of my favorite stand battles of all time. Favorite stand battles of all time is in part 6 where they're fighting the imaginary creations, right? So like people's imaginary fictional beings are coming to life. That is that I don't even know where it's one of my favorites ever. Maybe it would be. I think Araki always pulls out the stops for the final stand battle of the arc. So let's say if we ignore final stand battles, right? If we ignore the final battles of each part, I think that one in part 6 with the mythological or the fictional beings coming to life, that might be my favorite stand battle in the series. That might be my favorite in the series, but the anime butchered it so bad. Bohemian Rhapsody, yeah. I think that might be my favorite in the manga, but the anime, I don't even know. I was trying to, because I was watching the anime, I was like, why is this worse? I was trying to figure out like what made it worse. It just is worse. It's phenomenal in the manga, I swear. Um, it's phenomenal in the manga. Like it was so cool in there, but it just in the anime, I don't know what they did. Part 6 anime is poor, says Eric. Oh, dude, I don't know if you saw my message on Twitter, but that anime which you sent over, that was cool. That was a cool scene. Like, legitimately, uh, I was like, because I came in with like no idea what it was gonna be, so I was just like, okay, what's going on? Standard, like Uh, guy's sleeping, hangs up phone or whatever. I was like, okay, what's going on? And then the the blood moment happened. I was like, whoa, oh shit. That actually made me go. That actually gave me a reaction. And then same with the arm reveal. I thought that was cool. Really cool, dude. Um, Part 6 anime is poor. I did think the Part 6 anime is poor. And I wanted to like it. I wanted to like it. The Part 7 fandom meltdown was fucking hilarious. What happened? My guy skipped Part 7 and 8 and probably some others? I didn't skip. What? I love Part 7. I liked Part 8 for the most part till the end. It's the second half. Oh, the complaining about. Yeah, the complaining to Netflix. The JoJo's fandom is a terrifying fandom to deal with. They are obsessive. But I think Netflix. Yeah, like Part 7 staff didn't inform them of the release schedule. I think the way that Netflix did it is very disrespectful. Like, sorry, the production is good, but you need to tell people, like, it just does not make sense to announce the release schedule. Like, people want to know what are they expecting, like, what are they getting into here. A lot of people say that Netflix doesn't, like, fundamentally doesn't understand a lot of aspects of anime. And I think this is another example where, like, even if it wasn't, like, even if people weren't used to, like, JoJo's Fridays and stuff like that, like, I don't care about the JoJo's Fridays concept, etc. But even, like, just the fact that, like, you know that there's a fandom that really, really loves this, right? You're ultimately making JoJo's for the fandom, right? You're making it for the JoJo's fans. Like, come on, this is like part fucking 7, right? Like, you're not really going to be bringing in a lot of new people into this necessarily, right? So you're making this for the people who already are big JoJo's fans, right? So it just feels disrespectful to, like, not tell them when things are going to release early on, you know? It seems like, I feel like they retroactively made up a new release schedule based on fan backlash. So on the one hand, I think JoJo's fans were dicks about it. But on the other hand, I'm like, it feels like they kind of had to be. Like, it was almost warranted, because if they weren't so aggressive and over the top with, like, spamming Netflix all the time, you know, then who knows what to, like, maybe they'll go with fucking one, like 8 months between episodes or something like that. I don't know. Oh no. You know what just happened, guys? I think we are going to have to call stream here, because I forgot about this. So with the new camera, it runs on battery. That's the catch. So I have to go charge it each time I do stream, or I'm sure there's a way I can have it charging at the same time. So I think, but either way, I was coming up on the end of time that I do have to pause stream. Um, yeah. Ender says, I still ate Morge's rant on Steel Ball Run fans gassing up Part 7's writing without actually giving any critical analysis and not even being able to explain what the true man's world actually is / means. Yeah, that's one thing. Like, I really like Part 7 a lot because it's really good. It's like a JoJo's part that actually has good writing, right? Because most JoJo's parts don't have that. But I think JoJo's fans go too far and they're like, no, this is good writing by the standards of any series. And it's like, no. It's still just Araki's crazy ass fever dream shit. Like, there's better character writing than normal by JoJo's standards. There's some more thematic messaging than normal by JoJo's standards. Not by actually, like, not by actually serious series, you know? Like, there's still a gap there. And then people get really upset by that. But it's because JoJo's fans are so used to JoJo's parts being so dumb and substanceless that the first one that's got something going for it, they're like, oh my god, this is like the pinnacle of writing. It's like, no, it's still just JoJo's, but JoJo's with, like, some actual, you know, substance to it, right? But not great. And then if they get really upset, it's just like, okay, like they'll just say stuff. I use the True Man's World as an example. They're like, but what about the True Man? Like, there's so many good parts of it, like the True Man's World and stuff. It's like, okay, well, what was the messaging at the end of the True Man's World? What was the lesson that Gyro took away? And how did it translate over the rest of this the plot? It really doesn't. Like, there's almost nothing. It's like it's just classic Araki, which is it's some cool shit that he thinks of for like a little bit, but it doesn't translate. Like, he's not thinking holistically over the course of the entire part. You know, like, because Gyro has that True Man's World battle, and it feels like, oh my god, this is like a whole new character coming out. And then the next scene, which is him like chasing, they have a little horse race with Dio, just him, Johnny, and Dio, and you can see some of that character change in that. But then it doesn't really amount to much after that. Like, there's not much long-term thematic messaging in it. True Man's World is individualism. It doesn't translate over the rest of the part. It's just some cool shit for the character to say in that moment, but Araki is straight up... Araki himself acknowledges that thematic writing is not his focus. It just isn't. He literally has a book where he talks about the main pillars of writing being characters, plot, setting, and themes, and he's just like, consider themes to be the least important. It's like, dude, that's not how most good writers think. But okay. All right, everybody. I think Johnny's arc is very good. I think that's the one thing that Araki really struck to and gives the part an overall through line. But everything else is kind of just like, I don't know. Everything else is just, you know, whatever. All right, everybody. True Man's World plays into a sacrifice at the end. No, it doesn't. No, that's like the most forced. That's such a ridiculous claim. That's not what the fucking... there's no congruence. They're just trying to say, well, it fit into this thing. No, it didn't. That's not even close to the same thing. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, wait. 1 second. One final super. Anime mention, thanks for the 5. When will Pirate King Podcast open? I have an interesting theory of Void Century. This will be a very interesting theory. Dude, I think submissions should be open right now, so definitely go check that out. Is there another Miss Super? I'm sorry. Hold on. Oh, shoot. Apple Killer. Here, let me get this in. My bad. Yeah, Pirate King Podcast submissions should be in right now. If anybody else wants to support and join Pirate King tier, definitely check that out. Submissions for the podcast are open right now. And it'll be an 1.5 hour long podcast where I answer everyone's questions very in-depth, more in-depth than I normally can on stream. All right, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in. And yeah,